This is Back Road of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. I am Caesar Delgado. Corn and beans is still stuck in their prices, but the most comprehensive range of the corn and beans prices are subject of the trade barriers for right now with this time. Now, he is joining us as Connor Bridgman from agmarkets.net in central Illinois. This is Back Roads of Illinois server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. Corn and beans is still stuck in their prices, but the most comprehensive range of the corn and beans prices are subject of the trade barriers for right now with this time. Now, he is joining us as Connor Bridgman from agmarkets.net in central Illinois. Hey, Connor, how are you?
I'm doing good, Caesar. The weather's we're no longer freezing. It's been in the 50s a couple times this week, so I'm doing great. Nothing to complain about.
Good to hear that. Connor, how is the fundamentals on the beans markets for right now? Because it's pretty stuck with 10.70. How can we expect the fundamentals on the beans markets?
Yeah, well, we've seen I mean, soybeans have rallied uh really nicely into this week, right? We're down as I look at it, March beans are down, but we've had a nice rally into it. Fundamental wise, right? Nothing's really changed. If anything, the fundamentals have gotten a little negative, right? We had a USDA report that came out Tuesday. They didn't change a whole lot on the soybean front, but they did increase that Brazil soybean production. And then we saw CONAB do the exact same thing. So fundamentally, right, it's a very big crop is coming on. Nice to see China buying U.S. soybeans. If we want to get to where they were 2, 3 years ago, or maybe more toward an average, we've got a ways to go, right? But so this rally that we've seen, I'm going to call it 1073 on the low end up to 1155. I'm looking at the May contract with those quotes. I wouldn't call this a fundamental rally. This is the market moving very much on speculation. You got to think it's a little bit of money flows. Uh, but it's been nice to see, right? No May soybeans right now are right around 1146. The high that we put in back in November's call it 1170 for a nice round number. And so we're getting very close to those highs with what looks to be a pretty big soybean crop coming on. So it's been interesting to see, but we'll take it every time.
How about the technical aspects on soybean futures for right now?
Yeah. Um, Technicals say we're getting close to where I'd put resistance, right? We're gonna hit resistance at where that previous high is. Um, And so I'd say that'd be the big technical indicator. And then on the negative side, right? Like where's the lows put in? If the high is 11, if the high is north of 1170, right there, the low is going to be at 1032 that we put in back in August. Again, looking at the May contract. And so, um, technicals, right? If we could get above, right? If we get something, if Trump tweets something, let's go a month and a half down the road and we see something in acreage. If we can get old crop above that 1170, I gotta think we make a run to 12 and above, right? But I think that's going to be a pretty good sticking point to get above that. Looking at soybean technicals.
How is the story of the beans demand for the world supply and demand report on Tuesday?
Yeah, so the USDA, they really didn't change anything soybean wise, right? That February report is it's sandwiched in between that big Jan 6th WASD, right? That was a very bearish one this year. And then we have that acreage intentions at the end of March. So historically, this one it kind of gets glossed over. I know I did, but it's usually not a market mover. And that proved true this year. We didn't see any changes to US demand um or production. The only changes that I saw on the soybean front is going to be to that South American crop.
Like a barring kid in the party.
Yeah.
How about biofuel industry for 315 and soybean crush on the biofuel? What is your thoughts on this situation on the corn and beans side?
Yeah, we saw good news in terms of year-round E15. We got when did we get that news? About a month ago, I think. Um, and so that's good to see. Uh, Biofuel in terms of soybeans. Uh, we continue to see crush plants getting built, right? It's the direction that we need to go in, right? The story 5 years down the road isn't going to be how much soybeans were shipping to China, right? It'd be much better if we could become something that is, we're crushing beans in house uh, and then exporting that product. So we're a ways away, but we continue to see plans. We see the expansion, right? I was just talking to a guy in Ohio talking about that bean plant that's supposed to come online this summer, I believe. And so, that it's still in terms of legislation, right? We haven't seen something that's just a surefire thing or anything like that, but it continues to go in the right direction. And that announcement about E15 too, that's what I consider that, right? It's a step in the right direction to build in some more ethanol biofuel demand.
What is the newest version of the 45Z from last week?
The newest for the 45Z, um, we got it answered some questions, but then it still left some questions some questions left unanswered, I guess, in my opinion, right? And so the big one in terms of the carbon credits, right? Or is it going to go to the ethanol plant? Is it going to be the producer? What type of farming practices are 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 they going to instill that we need to see for the farmer to get these benefits? And so there's still it's still a little bit in limbo from what I can see, Caesar.
Still waiting game.
I think so. A waiting game where we need some form of legislation or something that makes it a little more clear, I think.
You've been traveling for last week in Nashville for agmarkets.net, and now you're getting in San Antonio for the Commodities Classic. But does farmers feel the pain of the farm economy for right now?
Yes, absolutely they do, right? These prices we're seeing you mentioned in Nashville, right? The overwhelming theme is that input prices are increasing, right? They're not dropping. We're seeing commodity price that is, especially in the core market, is completely stagnant. And so, it's one of those. If we're talking about if guys haven't sold grain right now, the discussion is that they have to pay bills or something like that. So yes, we're absolutely feeling this increasing input prices. Um, and then a stagnant market, right? We talked a lot about soybeans. Well, that's because the story on corn prices is so muted, right? We saw a bearish report in January that dropped it, and in the meantime, right, looking at the March contract, we really stay in a very narrow range, and it's the same thing looking forward to new crop corn, right? 445 on the low. If we can get above 470, that's going to be a target. We haven't done that since November. It's just a very range bound market, and it makes it tough to market this stuff ahead. So a lot of uncertainty. It's going to be interesting to see where acres come out for guys, right? Where's the profitable crop going to be at? Um, and so yeah, it's very much things are tough in the farm economy. Absolutely.
Do you have any concerns about the farmers are affected by the corn markets, especially without any farm bill?
Yes, we it'd be nice to get a farm bill. I think I just saw a headline that we're gonna get something looking at next week. Don't quote me on that. The one big change that we got with the big beautiful bill, and it's a big talking point because we're right in that February price discovery period on crop insurance, is how the safety net, whether it's crop insurance or it's the ARC County or PLC program, that safety net is very much raised, right? The ECO coverage or these county level products went from like a 60% subsidy level to 80%. And so that's a big conversation I'm having with guys is between the higher reference prices on ARC County or PLC, the how cheap ECO coverage is or SCO, right? Both of them, you can pair them together. That safety net is significantly higher to where um, you can make the argument about if we get into a very, very low price environment, it's not necessarily the worst thing that could happen for guys because of those safety nets. So I got off on a tangent there, but that's what I've been thinking about.
Yeah, wait and see. We can do with crop insurance.
Yes. Well, wait and see. At the end of February, we'll know what the February price is, and then we can start, making our calculations, right? If we have an average yield, where's going to be our price floor? If we have a record yield, if our county has great yields, okay, how low can the price go before it kicks in with us? And so more, I've always talked when we talk risk management, we're always talking crop insurance, but now that floor with being able to take the ECO and get up to 95% coverage, that floor is significantly higher to where we have a much higher chance of a payout. So a guy, we got to be cognizant of that uh, more so than previous years when it comes to what we're doing with our marketing plans.
We talked about the biofuel demands and the trade barriers on the beans demand. Is there any final thoughts on the planting more corn acres again for this spring?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Because a guy like me could look at what soybeans have done, right? Where November soybeans are at 11.11, and then next year corn's at 460, right? That gets close to um a decent rotation. If you factor in that we planted 98 million acres last year, right? The biggest acres we saw since the Great Depression, the natural rotation is going to say more soybean acres, right? Um, but the thing is that for a lot of guys, especially out west, and then also I want to mention again that these a little bit higher safety net programs, I'm not so sure that corn's going to pencil possibly a little better than beans, even with the increased input prices. And so, you know, are we going to see? I hear this a lot where it's like, well, corn acres are going to be down from last year. Sure, right? It was a record yield or record corn acres by more than we've ever seen uh, in 80 years, right? Of course, corn acres are going to be down, but can we still see a number that is 96 million acres of corn? 97, 90, 95. Absolutely, we could, and I think a lot of guys are forecasting that, right? Where uh, not too long ago, a big corn acre number, I'd put 94 million acres is what I used to just kind of put as, oh, well, that's going to be a big corn acre number, right? If we see a 94 million acres, that's going to be seen as bullish just because of this fantastic corn demand. And so, other factors that aren't necessarily helping is that we're not seeing a whole lot of action. The wheat market isn't exactly on fire. We had a nice day yesterday, but the what I'll call the fringe acres, right? Cotton, wheat. I don't see the incentive if you're weighing it. I think it still kind of pushes to corn for a lot of guys. So is the risk of having a big corn acre number and on the same thing a decent sized bean acre number? Absolutely it is. And I think that should be on the radar. That report, right? We get your crop insurance price set, and then we have a month before that planning intentions to where it could be a big market mover. That's an important month for a lot of guys marketing this.
The yield trends in the record is higher than expected, but wait and see. We can meet the criteria for the corn demand.
Yes, um we absolutely could, right? Record demand. I had a coworker say this is like, how do you get record demand? Is you got to be the cheapest corn in the world and be able to export it everywhere, right? And that's what we are. Corn's cheap. We've seen that. So, going into next year, could we anticipate that we have the same demand numbers? It's going to be a tall order, right? That's going to be big, especially if we see some type of pullback, right? But if we plant big acres and have the yield again, I have no reason to think we can't see very good demand just continue.
Thanks, Connor. Good to hear from you again for today. Yeah, the Bears will be great for next season.
I hope I sure hope so. That'd be a great thing. Let's get the corn price up. Let's get the Bears in the Super Bowl, and we could do a lot of good things next year, Caesar.
Thanks again.
Yep, thanks for having me on.
This is Connor Bridgman from agmarkets.net on back roads of Illinois.